Straight ahead on 12 News, Happy Days comes to Golden Valley as a famous actor shares a personal story. Plus, presidential politics in Brooklyn Park as the vice president's wife speaks to students at North Hennepin. But first, a Robbinsdale neighborhood blocked off after a young child makes a horrific discovery. 12 News starts right now. A man and woman are found dead inside a Robbinsdale home, leaving a neighborhood in shock.
A little boy made that discovery, and the bodies were found at a home in the 3900 block of Xenia Avenue about 9:30 this morning. Police closed off the city block where it happened. They say a preschool-aged boy went to a neighbor's house saying his mother was not moving. That's when police found the boy's mother and a man dead inside the home. The cause of the deaths appear to be from gunshot wounds. Police say it's too early to tell if it's a case of murder-suicide, but police say there was no history of trouble.
It's generally a neighborhood that we would consider very quiet, very peaceful, and it just goes to show that no matter where you live, and no matter how peaceful you think something is, that sometimes tragedy can strike, and you just never know.
And police say a gun was recovered. Identification of the victims was not immediately released.
In other news, the campaign trail veered off to Brooklyn Park today. The vice president's wife, Jill Biden, visited North Hennepin Community College. Her visit comes as a new poll shows the race between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney is narrowing in Minnesota. The poll shows Obama with a 7-point lead, a gap that has been cut in half in the last 3 months. Jill Biden's visit, of course, is meant to rally the Democratic base, but it's also meant to draw attention to community colleges. Here's reporter Delane Cleveland.
Hi, how are you? Jill Biden.
Shortly after noon on Friday, Jill Biden arrived on the campus of North Hennepin Community College. She greeted students and faculty before making her way to the courtyard to address a large crowd.
I want to start by thanking everyone here at North Hennepin Community College for hosting me here today.
North Hennepin was the first of 3 stops in Minnesota to campaign for the president and her husband, and she used this appearance to praise the work of community colleges, calling them a vital part of our present and our future.
Community colleges are a cornerstone of our educational program. The president has a plan to train 2 million workers through partnerships between businesses and community colleges so the workers can get the skills that they need to fill existing jobs.
A community college professor herself, Biden encouraged the students here to get out and vote.
We need everything you've got.
In total, she spoke for just under 7 minutes.
Thank you. Thanks. Hi, how are you?
Yet students we spoke with say they like what they heard.
I love that they're supporting community colleges. I love that she came and actually spoke to the students, and she showed passion for what she serves, for what her husband serves for Obama.
We're thankful that she came up and presented her agenda. But
Awali Osman is part of the group that got Biden to come to the campus.
One of the students that goes here was working with the Obama administration over the summer, and that student suggested the North Hennepin Community College.
However, some students did have one criticism of her brief appearance.
I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't actually get a chance to ask our questions and have her answer them.
But such is the nature of the campaign season, with less than 2 months until Election Day.
Thank you for coming out and supporting me. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, reporters didn't get a chance to ask her questions either. After her appearance at North Hennepin, Jill Biden was scheduled to speak at the Depot Coffee House in Hopkins and at McAllister College in St. Paul. Mike and Alex.
All right, thanks a lot, Delane. A former Republican congressman is calling on politicians from both parties to cool the rhetoric for the good of the country.
Speaking to the Twin West Chamber of Commerce, Jim Ramstad called the current political environment poisonous. He says it threatens to push the country into another recession.
Extremists on both sides of the aisle need to cool it. They need to cool it. The hostile, threatening rhetoric is way over the top. And there's almost no bipartisan collaboration to find common ground, which is why we're sent to Washington, why we're sent to St. Paul.
Ramstad is calling on the next president, whoever that is, to hold a Camp David summit with leaders from both parties to reach a deal on jobs and the deficit.
When presidential campaigns bring in surrogates like Jill Biden, does it influence the vote? And we asked Hamlin political science professor David Schultz to weigh in on that topic.
It's hard to tell. In some situations, surrogates do have an impact. For example, we know over time that first ladies, for example, have some influence. But primarily, it's really the presidential candidates and the vice presidential candidates that have the biggest impact in terms of what they do.
So when you have a surrogate versus the actual candidate, is that a sign that the campaign ultimately thinks they kind of have the state locked up on their side?
Well, it tells us something very important, because think about it right now. We're looking at a finite amount of time, about 60 days before the election. Candidates have to decide where they want to be at this point. Candidates themselves are going to go to the critical swing states, the ones that are really in play. They're going to probably send their surrogates to states that are important but not necessarily in play. What this is perhaps suggesting to both the Obama campaign and perhaps the Romney campaign is that Minnesota may not be in play, but the Democrats, clearly Obama, still wants to have a presence here, and so sending Ms. Biden into the state as a way of sort of getting the campaign and getting the Democrats in the state excited is important.
Schultz says he doesn't expect Minnesota will see the two major presidential candidates much this fall unless they make a fundraising stop in the state.
Just after Walmart held its grand opening in Brooklyn Center, Best Buy plans to reintroduce its presence in the city. A company spokesperson says Best Buy plans to open a scaled-down store that focuses on smartphones and tablets. The company spokesperson says the new store will open in October. It'll be located off Xerxes Avenue near Cub Foods.
It has been helping people in need in the Northwest Metro for more than 40 years. Now SEEP has a new home. Today, volunteers at SEEP got to see their new home on Brooklyn Boulevard in Brooklyn Center. It's nearly 3 times the size of the former Brooklyn Park location. SEEP now has larger rooms for food and clothing and 2 entrances to relieve congestion.
It'll make it easier for people to get around, even our volunteers, to pack food orders. They're not crammed in quarters, that type of thing. And we're looking to expand services, you know, in the future. We'll see how things go for the first several months to a year, and then, you know, this will give us room to grow.
SEEP will be back open to the public on Monday. Coming up, timely tips for your lawn.
We are in the garden with do's and don'ts to help nurse your lawn back to health.
And later in sports, the Hopkins volleyball team comes up big in its conference opener.
But first, your AccuWeather forecast.
This summer's drought has been a challenge for homeowners who like their lawns lush and green.
In this week's In the Garden, Renee Bonneau explains the do's and don'ts for drought-stressed lawns.
Even the University of Minnesota's Turfgrass Research Outreach and Education Center isn't immune from the dreaded drought. This fall's rainfall shortage is forcing staff here and a lot of homeowners to kick a lot of their lawn care habits.
Typical practices that we recommend in the fall would be aeration. Sometimes we'll recommend vertical mowing. We're always recommending seeding, fertilizing, and spraying your broadleaf post-emergent herbicides as well.
But lawn expert Sam Bauer says most of the above could make your crunchy brown grass even worse. Put those practices aside and start watering. A lot.
Your frequent applications of irrigation are not enough to wet the soil. So we need to do heavy, frequent amounts to wet the soil, and once the soil is wet, and you can either check it with a hand trowel or, you know, a soil probe in a lot of cases to make sure your soil is wet, because we do need to wet the root zone. Just wetting the surface will continue to keep the roots at the surface.
Your lawn needs about 1 inch of water a week.
Set the time as it is.
A timer will cost about $40 and will remember to water regularly so you don't have to. Experts say applying quick-release nitrogen is bad for your lawn and the environment right now.
The later fall, our normal recommendation has been 1 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet in a quick-release form. Now, when your grass is not actively growing, it doesn't have the ability to take that up.
Bauer says you should use a mix of slow and quick-release nitrogen. Also, raising the height of cut on your lawnmower and mowing less frequently will put less stress on your lawn.
Before you take these tips to heart, think of your particular situation. If your lawn looks stressed because you maybe haven't aerated or fertilized in the last 2 years, then you should definitely do those things in addition to the extra watering. For In the Garden, Renee Bonneau, 12 News.
All right, thanks, Renee. Coming up, a personal message from the Fonz.
See why actor Henry Winkler paid a visit to Golden Valley. But first in sports, see if Maple Grove can net another win in girls soccer. John Jacobson is in next.
The Lake Conference is a pretty tough conference for all sorts of sports, including volleyball, and last night two of the best met.
Yeah, you don't get any nights off when you play another team in this league. The Wayzata volleyball team won 5 straight conference titles before finishing second to Eden Prairie a year ago. Meanwhile, the Hopkins Royals are off to a great start in search of their first conference championship since 2005. First of 2 meetings in the regular season between the Trojans in blue and the Royals. Game 1 and off the Wayzata serve, the Royals send her right back. Samantha Sulliger Swenson, Emmy Copy for the kill, and Hopkins out to an early lead. Swenson digs this one up, and the Trojans finish the play. The back set goes to Marissa Gretchel for the kill, but Hopkins plays a strong first game. Swenson sets it outside to Nora Reed for the attack and kill, and Hopkins takes game 1, 25-16. Second game with the Royals serving and the Trojans perfectly execute the pass, set, and kill. Natalie Wilson with the kill. This one goes back and forth, but the Royals pull it out in the end. Copy attacks from the middle and gets the point here for Hopkins. The Royals take it 25-22 to go up 2-0 on Wayzata. And they take the third game as well. Maren Olsen serves up an ace. A rare sweep of the Trojans. Hopkins beats Wayzata in 3. The Royals are now 11-1.
This is really big for us, beating them in 3 sets. We worked really hard, and we just want to keep going up from here, so it's exciting.
Rivals Osseo and Maple Grove are off to solid starts in volleyball. Maple Grove at home to host the Orioles. Megan Pekarik delivers an ace serve for Osseo as they jump out to a quick 7-2 lead in game 1. Kayla Crane sets it to Tegan Lamarge for the kill in the deep middle for Maple Grove, but they trail yet by 8 points. Janae Morton sneaks it past the Crimson blockers of the net to give Osseo the first game by a score of 25-15. Second game, and Maple Grove's Laura Brixius right on target, cross court for the kill. And they're down 7-4. But again, it's Osseo prevailing. Jackie Jones with a kill for the Orioles on their way to a 25-19 win in game 2. And they go up 2 games to none. To game 3 off the Maple Grove serve. A good recovery on a pass to the net by Megan Pekarik, and Morton pushes it over for the point. Game 3 is close, but Osseo takes it with Phyllis Webb finishing in style. Osseo sweeps Maple Grove.
Of how good they were going to be. We watched some tape and saw that they had some good players, so we just went in not really knowing, played our hardest.
After a season opening loss to Edina on August 23rd, the Maple Grove girls soccer team is unbeaten. The Crimson looking to keep that going against a Maple Grove team Thursday night. Less than a minute into the second half, Haley Nelson gets loose and strikes for the Crimson, and it's 1-0. At the other end, a chance for Blaine, but Kirsten Olsen's shot is stopped by Casey Audie. Maple Grove makes it 2-0 here. Kaylee Biat's cross knocked away by the keeper, but Mariah Morissette buries the rebound. Biat later sets up Nelson for her second goal of the game and a 3-0 Crimson lead. Maple Grove adds one more and wins 4-0. The Crimson is now 6-1-1 on the season. Plenty of prep football in the area tonight, so get out and watch your favorite team kick off at 7 o'clock. Nice night for football.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, John.
You're welcome.
Today in Local Vote 2012, we hear from legislative candidates running to represent part of Plymouth and Minnetonka.
It is House District 44B with DFL incumbent John Benson running against Republican Mark Steffen.
Hello, I'm John Benson. I represent Minnetonka and Plymouth. I've served 3 terms. My career has been in education. I see the legislature as a citizen legislature who once serves for a time and then moves on. My key issues for state government are education, transportation, and public safety. My 2 specific concerns relate to education reform and holding down property taxes. My objective is to restore the homestead credit that the Republican majority took away, costing Minnesota homeowners and businesses $370 million. I'm endorsed by the Democratic Party, professional firefighters and police, the Nurses Association, and various environmental organizations. I ask for your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mark Steffen, and I'm running for the Minnesota State House, District 44B, which includes South Plymouth, Woodland, and Minnetonka. I'm a small business owner, first-time candidate, and proud father of 2 daughters. I'm running because of one issue that trumps all other issues, the economy. Liberty and freedom are rooted in economic independence and economic opportunity. And this begins with a state government that lives within its means and operates within its constitutional mandates, which includes a truly balanced budget without accounting gimmicks. I also believe in the need for a long-term vision and plan to create a stable and sustainable economic environment where small businesses and entrepreneurship can flourish and provide the economic engine for job creation. For more information, visit steffenforhouse.com.
We're still ahead on 12 News, from 50s bike cool to raising awareness for an important cause.
We meet the Fonz himself, actor Henry Winkler, as he shares a story many families can relate to. We're back in just a moment.
Well, he's a famous actor, producer, and children's book novelist, but most people remember him as the Fonz.
I went to Hollywood. I got on Happy Days. I had the most wonderful time. For 10 years, I went,
Henry Winkler shared a few Hollywood stories at the Courage Center on Friday, but his main message was much more personal. His mother suffered from a condition called upper limb spasticity after she suffered a stroke. Today, there's a specific type of Botox used by hundreds at the Courage Center that helps treat people with that condition, and he wishes that it had been around for his mother.
When you get that glimmer of hope, when you get all of a sudden you're open now because your muscles are relaxed, you're open now to a whole new therapy that you couldn't do before. I think that that just moves you forward, that you're pushing your face into the breeze.
And Winkler is a spokesman for the treatment. I asked him if he ever gets sick of all the Fonzie references. He said no, he's just grateful for the opportunity because it has given him the opportunity to do everything he wants in life, write books, produce movies, direct movies.
He looks very good. I think just put a leather jacket on him.
Yeah.
It all comes right back.
A very nice
yes,
man,
exactly.
too, right?
Very thoughtful. Yes, cool. Very thoughtful man. That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Stay with us. Community Corner is coming up next. Have a great weekend, everyone.